Welcome back to Backyard Science. My name is Zoe with Jackson Bottom Wetland Preserve, and this week we're going to talk about what you can find in your neighborhood when it comes to wildlife. So let's go on a walk. So I live in a suburban neighborhood in Vancouver, Washington, and even though I'm not in Hillsboro, you might have a neighborhood that looks pretty similar to this. Some yards have these very large old trees in them, and that's where you're going to find a lot of birds. At least that's where I find the loudest birds, the most birds are in these very large trees. It's a very safe place for animals to make a home. So walking through these shrubs, do you hear anything? Sounds like there might be a bird nearby. I wonder if it lives in here. It looks like the bird was above us the whole time. This looks like a dark-eyed junco. The types of wildlife you'll see really depend on what types of yards are in your neighborhood. This neighbor decided to have mostly grass in their lawn, but on the edges have a large diversity of different plant life that are flowering or big leafy plants, and that's where you're going to see most of the wildlife. These Bergenia plants seem to be particularly popular in this yard. As you can see, there are holes in the leaves, and that tells you that somebody's been eating them. And as you look further, you can see that there are snails all over the plant. The more I look, the more I find them. And after it rains, there are so many more snails that you can see. A few days ago, they were all over the sidewalk after it rained, so you had to be careful where you stepped. Why do you think these snails love it here so much? Well, besides having a good source of food, water, and shelter in yards, snails and other animals benefit from these succulents that many neighbors have decided to plant in my neighborhood. Did you know succulents can actually purify the air by turning pollutants like car exhaust into plant food? They also emit water vapor, which cools environments. So besides being yummy to eat by snails and other animals, succulents actually help the neighborhood environment stay clean and healthy for everyone. Walking a little bit farther down the neighborhood, I've noticed this big rosemary bush, and if you take a closer look, there's something kind of funny on it. Do you see it? What is that? It kind of looks like foam. Do you have any guesses of what this might be? Would you believe that there are bugs inside of that foam? Spittle bugs, to be exact. The young ones live in this foam as protection, and they feed on the plant. As you can see, my neighborhood, just like a lot of other neighborhoods, has many different types of yards. The difference is what these yards will attract. Some yards are well-kept with nice lawns, and some have tall grass with a lot of bushes. If you were an animal, what would you prefer? Rabbits, for example, like to have a mixture of environments. They like to have open space to feed, and they like to have shelter in bushes. Yards that have fruit trees tend to have a lot of furry friends visiting them. Like this squirrel. This squirrel probably lives somewhere near or in this tree, just like a lot of birds do. It really benefits to be able to live in a place that also is your food source. Squirrels are definitely animals that have adapted very well to living near humans. If you're in the suburbs, you might not be able to see a ton of animals every time you go outside, but you're definitely going to see squirrels. One squirrel has even adapted to making my roof its new home. It likes to sunbathe right on the top of the roof, and when it's not sunbathing, it does live in a hole in our roof. Currently, it's not causing too much damage, but that could change. For now, it's our little roommate. It looks like we also have some other roommates on our back porch. While some animals make homes in and around our yards, some just use our yards as a way to move from place to place. It's kind of like hopscotch. Spots like this stump and large areas of foliage really help animals move around without being seen. My neighborhood also has these alleyways where people put their trash out, but they connect through to other neighborhoods as well. If you can see that, it just goes on and on. And this is a great way for different animals to travel to different natural areas like parks. So on the other side of all of these alleyways there is a park, so these animals have a way to cross besides just using yards. Wildlife is everywhere, even in a suburban neighborhood. Now it's your turn to get out in your neighborhood safely and try to see what you can find. Happy hunting!